Collins and Reverend Karen Tudor. So Unity of Houston is represented in the house today. Thank you both for being here. And, we're talking about something that is really relevant, I think, to all of us. If you are stepping into bringing a mission to life, financial flow is a big piece of that. And I think it can get a little scary sometimes to create the shift, to shift into this mission-driven mindset, because we do have expenses and it can get challenging. And switching your financial model when there is stress or lack or scarcity can be a little bit tricky. And I remember the days when, we look at the budget and the board would gather around and say, Mindy, spiritual leader, Mindy, it's time for you to do another prosperity course because we need more money. And there's some irony in that, right? So we're talking about frequently asked questions, things that are related to that money mindset. And I'm going to just sort of go over to you, Karen Tudor, because this is an idea that I picked up from our conversations, which is the sense of trying to fix a scarcity mindset with a scarcity mindset. So speak a little bit. Have you seen that happen? And how do we get tripped up into that?
It is really, it's really easy to slip it into that the whole time you're saying you're not doing it, you are doing it because you begin to realize, just like you said, that the money isn't coming in. How do we encourage more money? How do we get another infusion, so to speak, without sounding an alarm or whatever? And another prosperity class, is often a way to kind of like bump it up a little bit. At the same time, you're meeting your mission and your vision, for the church. You're expressing and teaching and changing people's lives. But really, that isn't where the impetus is coming from. And so that really kind of speaks to our own teaching around where is our consciousness? What is our intention? What are we doing here? And I think it's super easy to get there. And it doesn't mean prosperity classes aren't important, because they are. And they are a part of the teaching that we do. And setting that aside, it has to do with how is it that we charge for everything? We put, the thing I hate the most is a cup next to the coffee cups.
Yes.
Where you put some money in. What? I don't think in my entire life I've ever put any money in those things. Mm-mm. I always just go, I know how much coffee is. It's like, it's like, I give because I care about this church. You use it wherever you need to. Right. You just put it wherever you need to use it. I am not going to pay for every single thing I do here because I'm already vested. I'm a member here. I'm doing this thing. And I always felt a little bit insulted by that. And if there was an expectation, if I would have been confronted with it as just as a client, so to speak, as a congregant or any place else. I feel like that is part of what my participation really involves. So the thing of it is the question we should ask ourselves as leaders is not that we have the courage to ask for what we need, because that too is something that leaders often don't want to have that conversation, don't want to admit that things are underway. I mean, we do have to put it clearly. We have to put it out there without fear, but with an expectation of shared responsibility. Here's what we're doing. Here's how we're doing it. Here's the budget we're using here, keeping that conversation open, honest, transparent as you can, and just let people know where you actually are. That takes courage, and that also takes leadership to do that. That's important. On the other hand, it's also important to demonstrate the consciousness that in times when things get a little tight or a little thin, or you're not really sure where things are going, how then do you lead? How then are you speaking? And what are you, what kind of a vision are you casting for your ministry then? And really, it has to come from a place of trust, because that's really how we got here. I think sometimes we take credit. We take credit for the things that went well, and we have blame for the things that didn't go well. Well, the economy tanked. Well, so and so left. Our big donor left, and blah blah blah. But we got all these reasons. But the truth is, what we really have to get in touch with is the boat is still afloat, even if it's threatened. And so the boat is still afloat. So how do I now navigate into deeper waters? And really,
Oh, did I just lose Karen?
Yeah, I think she froze a little bit here, and she was so good. I don't know
tell
if
you, I mean, she's on a roll.
if it's a Karen Tudor cliffhanger on purpose. I
tell you, I am at the edge of my seat, so she's gonna pump it. There you are.
There I am. So sorry. I don't know where I got cut off. All of a sudden, I just dropped out.
The energy is like so intense.
Yes. The boat was still afloat, and we wanted to know what was happening to it.
Well, but you see, that can happen, right? Yes. It's like in the moment, in mid-sentence even. But the thing of it is that you've made it this far, and it isn't on your own recognizance. It is. I mean, what we do, what we bring to it, how we do it, all of those things matter, and it's also how we lead, and our contribution. Yes. However, there is a soul to every community. I don't care what kind of community you're leading, there is a soul, and it is unfolding its own life in the way that it's doing through every person who is involved, including the leadership of the moment, and the vision that the leader of the moment, whoever that is, or however that's being led, whatever that structure is, that entity or person will be the one to receive the vision, and it is up to them to communicate it and to share it with the body so that everyone is on board and giving accordingly into this vision, or dropping out because it doesn't speak to them anymore, or it never did, or it's not theirs, or they can't go along any further, or whatever it is. That people will come, people will go, but you have to keep your view on the open ocean. Where are you taking this? Where are you going, and what does it want to be, and how do you do more of this? That's the exciting part of ministry anyway. That's the exciting part of being a leader, that you hold the vision, not in denial about the realities that the sewage system has to get fixed, that the bathrooms have to get enlarged. I mean, there are things that have to happen, but that can't be, you can't let it take your energy out, because you're not here to keep a building going. You're not here for that. You're here to continue a beautiful soul unfoldment of a ministry, but also of individuals.
I love that. And, I love how that ties into mission, because in a true mission-centric organization, the mission, as I'm going to keep saying it throughout the whole series, the mission is not what the minister is supposed to do for the congregation. The mission is what the membership brings to the community. And so in a mission-driven, a thriving mission-driven ministry, the Sunday experience is really, it's uplifting. If you're a member, like, yes, it's for you, and it's designed to help you grow and help you transform. But when you're a member of a mission-driven organization that is really matured, those members have such a feeling of ownership of the mission that they're there on Sunday to welcome new people, to be looking for who is it that's on the edge of our community that we can bring in, knowing that it will be a transformational experience. And can you imagine bringing somebody into your home for a cup of coffee and having a cup next to the pot that says, oh, by the way, I invited you to my home, but if you wouldn't mind chipping in $1.25 for the Folgers, that would be great. We wouldn't do that. And that's the shift. Like in these thriving ministries, I see, there's donuts, there's Krispy Kreme donuts. Who wouldn't come back for a Krispy Kreme donut? Even if you're like, okay, I don't know if this message fully resonates, but I'm going to be back next Sunday because they have Krispy Kremes. There's such a feeling of the people here are looking out for me and they care about me and they want me to stick around. And so I have a feeling, I don't know this, they may have a Krispy Kreme budget. My guess is that someone in that community stops by the Krispy Kreme on Sunday morning because they want people to know that that they're loved. It's a love expression. So I love this. I love what you shared, and it really takes us into. And I'm going to throw this one over to you, Stacy. What does it look like within these small groups? When there's the same idea, but you can hone it down into the small groups. Because one of the things that we have always had as part of the agreement for being a spirit group is that we don't pass the hat. We don't say, hey, you got to pitch in for this, you got to pitch in for that, you got to pitch in for everything. Instead, we're creating a culture where everybody contributes in some way, whether that's by bringing the Krispy Kreme donuts, or usually it's the chocolate covered almonds or the carrot sticks or the hummus or something like that. Everybody either brings something or does the meditation or sings a song, or everybody contributes in some way to that group. And there's not a pass the hat. Instead, what we encourage our group leaders to do is to, at the end of every session, as you conclude the session, to reiterate and repeat and remind people this experience that you just have been freely given, you're able to receive it because of the people who give to this mission. This experience is our mission expressed, and the fact that anybody could be a part of any of our small groups and not be asked for a love offering, not to have the basket passed in front of them. Anybody could come into this group and be loved and contribute their gifts in the way that they're called to do it without having us pass the basket. That's part of the Spirit Groups culture. So Stacy, I'm going to toss it over to you just to what your thoughts are as the program leader for Spirit Groups at Unity of Houston.
Yeah, I love what you just said because one of the things that was really a shift for me that I saw happening in the spirit groups was, I was listening to this talk by someone one day, and they were talking about life in general, and they just said this phrase: your participation is required, and how much are you willing to participate, right? And it was just about life in general. And I think about that with spirit groups is that we're redefining what participation is. People are coming into a group, and yes, they are supported and empowered, but they are also inherently there to help support and empower other people. And that's what makes a really healthy small group. It's nobody's just coming in and kind of, you may sit on the sidelines. We have that week 0, that's the meet and greet kind of thing. You can kind of dip your toes in and see if you take the temperature a little bit, right? See if it fits for you. But beyond that, it really is, there's not one person just leading the group and everybody else is just there kind of consuming, eating their popcorn. We're going to let so-and-so take care of the prayer and they can bring the snacks and they can do. No, it's really about everybody coming together. And so that's where real transformation happens. And I love that you talked about with having that experience of being new to church and not being expected maybe to give financially right away, just knowing that people cared about your transformation and cared about you having an experience. And I think that's the other piece to it. People come in the groups. Many people we find are fairly new to Unity and they're finding their way to a spirit group, and they feel so supported that then they're able to engage in the community in deeper levels as they're ready. And they have good role models for that through the people that have been in the groups and been members of the church for a while.
But Mindy, they ask, what if they come to a spirit group and they don't give money? What if that happens? What if they come and they never give a dime? What are your thoughts on people? And I get that question a lot. What happens if they come and they never give?
Never give. Well, that's an interesting thought. I was just not too long ago, maybe about a month ago, I was putting together a spreadsheet with a coworker about all of the service projects that our spirit groups have done. And it is amazing, not just for our community, but out in the community. And I think, some of those things you could put a price tag on and some you couldn't. They've reached out to groups that we've never volunteered before. They've helped provide volunteer support, as Karen was mentioning, for some of our ongoing outreach. So that's that part of it is, they may not be giving money within the group, but they are contributing to the community, and we're creating healthy groups, right? We're creating a healthy level of engagement, which then inspires them to go on and give in other ways, right? Financially and otherwise.
I love that. And it's so much a piece of what a mission-centric model is about, because the mission is about making a difference. And so if your small groups are making a difference, it's not we're going to make a difference if you pitch in. It's not we're going to make a difference or help you transform your life if you volunteer, if you become a member, there's no strings attached to it. And I think, especially you look at the millennial generation and generations to come, and they have such an easy trigger in terms of they can tell if you've got another objective, if you're like, oh, you're going to give me this because you're going to have the big ask at the end, or you make it look like you're giving it to me now, but really you're expecting something of me. It's not truly given freely, and there is a different energy to that. Any thoughts, Karen, related to any of this?
Oh, absolutely. To me, this is really imperative. I mean, you have to think about how I like to think of spirit groups here at Unity of Houston. It is an integral part of being involved at Unity of Houston. In other words, everyone who calls Unity of Houston their home is not necessarily involved in a spirit group, but they are going to always have the opportunity to jump on at any juncture when there's an opening and hear from people around them who are seated around them, perhaps, or people who get up and do testimonials about how it's changed their life and how it's helped them to feel connected. We've had people who've attended Unity of Houston for decades, literally, who felt like they didn't know others in the church sitting next to them until the first time they did one spirit group. And now they have friends they sit with. Now, what other thing could we possibly have offered at Unity of Houston that will
Another cliffhanger.
I think I know what the answer is.
I think I know. What could you have offered at Unity of Houston? It is that connection. And Karen had talked about building trust. And I really believe trust comes from connection. And connection is cultivated in relationship and in small groups. So, yeah, I mean, she's here. You just are seeing if we're listening.
I'm so sorry. I keep losing connection for some reason. Anyway,
you're just at a high frequency. You're at a super high frequency right now.
I'll have to tone my voice down. I must be shouting at the screen or something. But anyway, I am excited by that because there really isn't anything that substitutes or that we could have conjured up that kind of relationship. We thought we were doing it already. I always just thought, well, participate, join right. Something, jump in here, volunteer somewhere. I would tell them that, give something of yourself, you'll feel connected. You'll meet people. I always felt like it was on them, and it is, they have to do their part. But the spirit group just makes it so exciting. And to hear people say how much they love their spirit group. They just say that. I love the people in my group. And they'll do that first time before the 6 or 7 weeks are done, before the program even is done. They will say that already, how much they love their group.
I love it. And, I have just a whole list of ideas that are coming. So I want to share some just specific things. And hopefully this will, if anyone is sort of on the fence about, I don't know, do I just let go? I don't know. I want to pass the hat. I want to charge for these groups. Just to reiterate what you've been saying, Karen, is that when people are connected, you are creating, if they're connected in a healthy culture and they know what they're giving to, that maybe not everybody gives. And the fact that not everybody gives and there's no pressure on that is what inspires people to want to give more, because they can see that, oh, this person came into my group and I know what was going on in their life. I know this wasn't a time to be badgering them to put in $1 for coffee. And I love that I'm in a community where I could be a part of their journey. I could be a part of that. And so I want to give to this ministry to make sure that we have more leaders being trained. We have more groups being formed. We have more people that we can reach. We can get groups going in prisons. We can get groups going at women's shelters. We could get groups going in hospitals where people are stuck. We could get groups going all over the place if we could give into this mission. And I can see the difference it makes because I'm a part of that. I've had people say they've done a building campaign and people who are like, I got connected through my spirit group. I'll do a matching donation. And it comes in ways they wouldn't expect. So I share those as just examples and evidence, hopefully, that gives people some confidence. You don't have to pass the hat. It's going to be okay if the coffee is a gift, because that gift is part of the mission expressed.
And you know what else you can do? You can, since you have a list, you know who the people are that signed up. And now, because we're doing Zoom, spirit groups on Zoom, we've got people non-local who've come into our ministry as members who have never set foot in our church. And that we created a way, an avenue for them to do that so that they can have ownership here and find ways for them to serve, non-locally in a way, serve the community. And there's ways we can do that. But the point is that how in the world would you ever get somebody who just passively watches our live stream service to be moved? I mean, 1% or less would actually send money just because they were getting something from it. Maybe, 10% would send money just because they are personally getting something from it initially. But over time, they probably wouldn't. And there would be no palpable connection to any of the people whose backs of the heads they're seeing on screen, right? Mm-hmm. They have to be in relationship. And Spirit Groups provides that. It's healthy, as you say, and it's self-sustaining, and it's not personality driven, so that the leader isn't the one you get your allegiance to or your relationship with. Again, because that would be the temptation. It's so brilliantly created.
Well, I love that, and I will share the whole model that I've created through Spirit Groups for the New Thought movement is built upon models that have been working in non-denominational churches for 50 years. So I do a shout out of gratitude to those who've gone before us, and to be able to translate that into New Thought is powerful. I want to share just a couple quick tips. If you are really excited about this and think, oh, okay, this could be fun. This can be, what if this is really a fun way to get excited about creating financial flow? So if you are going to be a mission-driven ministry, it is important to infuse that into your budget and to ensure that everything that you are spending money on is mission aligned. So you have to be able to look at your budget. If you're saying, don't give to the church on Sunday mornings, give to our mission, then it is your obligation as leaders to ensure that that budget is 100% mission allocated. So I throw that out there because I think a lot of churches will say, oh, well, does this expense meet our mission? Well, it can be transformational. It would fit. I could call it that. And that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about creating a streamlined strategy so that I know when I make a donation to your mission, that it is being used strategically to make the greatest impact possible in bringing that mission to life. So in future episodes, we're going to be going into much more detail on what that looks like and how to do that. I also love, Karen, how you talked about really taking ownership of the mission, that mindset of, oh, well, it's kind of on them. And it is in a way, but I think it's really easy to say, well, I don't get why they're not doing it. Why don't they just step up? They could just volunteer. They could just join a small group. Couldn't they just, like, what's wrong with them?
Right.
And instead, in a mission-driven organization, it's about each one of us, whether you're the minister or a board member or a program leader or a small group leader or a member, each person understanding what the mission is and what they can do, their point of power in moving that mission forward, so that every program leader at every church should know what the mission is and the role of the financial flow, that, what's yours to do as program leader? Yours is to train your small group leaders to bring an abundance mindset to those small groups. If you're a group leader, you've got to understand this as well, because it's up to you to be communicating to that small group what they're giving is creating for the church. And if that information isn't filtering down beyond the board, beyond the minister, then it's really hard to get, it's the old model. The new model is everybody knows, everybody gets it. So what should be happening right now? Let me offer a challenge first. First challenge, here's the, just bring it home. If you have hesitation, if you feel resistance to stepping into this mindset, my challenge for you for this week is just to look at that. What is the resistance? Write it down and then look at it and see if there's any truth that's in there at all. It's usually scarcity, lack, fear, those types of things. What is the hesitation? And then talk about it with your board, talk about it with your leadership team, and then keep training those group leaders. So Stacy, what can they do right now?
Reaching out to people that have hosted before, ask them who they think might make a great host. You've got plenty of resources there. And as Rev Karen talked about, you don't think locally only. You can go non-local with your groups by online groups and have hosts from out of state be a part of
Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you, Reverend Karen Tudor, for being here. Next time, structure, simplicity, and growth. We'll see you next time on The Leading Edge. Thanks, everyone.
All right. Great work.
Thank you, Louis.